Hello everyone. Today we will be discussing about phonetics and it should serve as the introductions of our material for week 3 discussions. So this is the outline of our discussions today. And we will learn about the phonetics, sounds which we produce, including consonants, vowel, as well as the diphthongs. One quote to say in the beginning of the class is that linguistics is concerned primarily with the spoken word. And the written word is the implementations or the manifestations of our spoken word. So that's why at the beginning of the discussions of linguistics, we will start with the spoken words, the sounds which we produce. So phonetics consists of three types. Phonetics, the characteristics branch of linguistics, which discuss the characteristic of speech sound produced by human being. Discuss three types of phonetics, including articulatory phonetics. This is how speech sounds are made in our organs of sounds productions. Acoustic phonetics, the physical properties of speech as sound waves in the air. And the third one is auditory or perceptual phonetics, which is the perceptions of speech sound. So my question would be, are you generally aware of how you produce sounds or not? This is a basic question. Fun fact, that is, we are not generally aware of how we produce speech sounds, and it takes a certain amount of concentration on what we are doing with our mouth to become capable of describing the individual sounds produced. Because we have speak English for a very long time, or you speak your own language, your local language for a very long time since you were a child. So basically, all of us are not really aware of how we produce sounds. We just know to produce the certain sounds, we do this, but then we are not really aware of which part of the organs contribute to that one. So the discussions of phonetics is basically introductions to that particular area. The first one is the consonant. There are three aspects of consonants which we will need to pay attention when we are discussing about the consonants, which include the voice or voiceless distinctions, place of articulations, and the third one is the manner of articulations. We are going to discuss three of them one by one. The first one is voiceless distinctions. When the air passes through the trachea to the larynx, the vocal cords or vocal folds will take two basic positions. If the vocal folds spread apart and there is no obstruction at all, we will produce voiceless sounds. When the vocal folds are drawn, the air pushes them, but there is a vibration effect because the folds are drawn, so we are producing voice sounds. You can see it, compare it between t and d, the sounds of t, and d. Try to touch your Adam's apples or the parts in your vocal cords, and you will see when you try to make a voice to produce a sound d, it will vibrate higher than the. The second one is the place of articulations. This is how sounds are pronounced. And this is our human's voice tract. You see here, when you blow your air from the lung or diaphragm, it will pass through the larynx and goes to pharynx. Between the larynx and pharynx, there is a vocal folds which will drawn up and open to produce voice and voiceless vibrated sounds. Then the sounds, the airflow will pass through either the nasal cavity on the top or the mouth cavity. There is also some other organs here contribute to it, including the tongue and the uvula, the phlegm, the palate and hard palate, alveolar ridge, and also your lips. These are some examples. So to produce a bilabial sounds is produced with both lips, B and labia, both lips. So when you try to produce pet and tip, you will produce sounds p by trying to make a stop in your both labia, and then you open it abruptly. So you can produce a voiceless p in pet and tip and voiced b in pet. Another example is for labiodentals. You match the upper teeth with your lower lips to produce sounds f and f. So for voiceless f in fat and safe, you will try to emit both your upper teeth and your lower lip, and then you blow the air, and you can feel that the air is passing through the labiodental spot, fat and safe. While for the voiced v, it will be slightly different because you will try to make a stop in your labiodentals with the vat and sieve. The third part is manner of articulations. It is the location inside the mouth at which the constriction takes place. So this is an example. When you make a stop, you block the airflow and let it go abruptly. Then you can produce voiceless pet and talk, or a voice b, d, and g in bat and dog. With the fricative one, you try to almost block airflow, but you let it escape through a narrow gap between two places of articulations. So for example, in fricative, voiceless fricative, faith, house, and she. So if you put your hands in front of your mouth, you will feel that there is an airflow passing through a narrow gap. The voiced fricative will be slightly different in a sense that the airflow will go abruptly through the narrow gap you provide. So for example, like a this and the rough, and so on. So this is an example of a consonant chart. So you see on the left sides, it is the manner of articulations. On the upper part is the place of articulations. And the minus and plus is the distinctions, whether this is a minus as voiceless and plus as voiced. So for example, we will do it in always in order. The first one, you will need to mention the voiceless distinctions. And then the second one is the place of articulations on top. And the third one is the manner of articulations on the left side. So when, for example, you produce a voice bilabial stops, it will produce a sound b. While you produce voiceless bilabial stops, it will produce b. You see here, there are some spaces here which is empty. It means that this particular sounds is not available in that particular language. So in case this is in this case, this is English sounds. So you will see that there is no either voice or voiceless labiodental affricates. There is no voiceless bilabial nasal, and there is only one voiced bilabial nasal. If you have a problem understanding the chart, you can try to separate first sounds which you are familiar, like p and b, and another sounds which you think you are not quite familiar, like this one, voice and voiceless, dental, fricative, th and the. And then after you separate them, and you can learn them separately. Usually, in most cases, only fricative and affricates have variations in English, which is quite different with the letters mentioned in English, the Latin letters. So these are some examples of how we do the consonants and vowels in English, and examples of words which has that sounds. You see here, started from the fourth line, from pig, bed, time, do, and church, ch, judge, ch, kilo, go, five, very, thing, the, six, zoo, short, sh, casual, j, milk, no, sing, hello, live, read, window, and yes, or yeah. You also see the list of vowel sounds here, and we will discuss more when in the vowel discussions. So this one, the second one is the vowel. When you talk about the vowel, we talk about the front, central, and back, and high, mid, and low. The difference between vowel and consonants is that when we discuss about vowel, in general, the vowel are all typically voiced. So to describe a vowel sounds, you need to consider the way in which the tongue influences the shape through which the airflow must pass. When you talk about the place of articulations to produce a vowel sounds, you think of the space of inside of your mouth cavity as having a front, middle versus back, and high, medium, and low area. So you have those things in the chart. Thus, for example, when you pronounce hit and hit, we talk about high front vowels of V, because the sound is made with the front part of the tongue in a raised position. When you talk about the R sounds in Bob, cot, and swan, you talk about the back positions and decreasing positions. So this is some examples. Look at the picture here. When you produce I, so your tongue will go in a raising positions into the front part of your mouth. When you make a U, it is raising, but in the back sides into your palate across the phlegm. When you talk about R, it will be down under in decreasing positions, and A, it will be in front, little bit in front, slightly in front, but still under. So you will see I in the front high, A generally between middle and low front. A central is one A and R, and in the back you have U and O and so on. The third part is diphthongs. Diphthong is slightly different um, with the vowel, because diphthong is some of when you talk about the diphthong, you talk about the combinations of vowels. So here there is because this is a combination, so there is a movement from the first vowel into the second vowel. For example, in a diphthong I, in by, I, my, pie, and shy. So there is a combinations from the sounds A and then I, by, I. So there are two vowels here, R and A. Another examples is from diphthong o, bow, dot, and cow. So it will be started from a and then u, o, cow, as well as other type of diphthongs. Note that the diphthongs from different variations of English dialects might appear, for example, like in American and British diphthongs. For example, like poor, between poor and poor, between peer and peer, between pair and pair, between poor and poor, and so on. Similar accents, similar differing diphthongs, or even consonant and vowels will be seen also in many other languages. For example, when you talks about, for example, Jakartan Indonesians, so Indonesian with in Jakarta's dialects, compare it with Medan dialect or with East Indonesian dialects or with your local dialects, probably there will be some differences. There are some recommended videos to check. I also put some descriptions into the videos. And the last part is international phonetic alphabets. This is basically the charts of consonants as well as voice and other sounds which we produce, which is produced and maintained and always revised by International Phonetic Alphabet Organizations, International Phonetic Association. And the last one is revised in 2020. Here you will see some consonants, vowels, other symbols, diacritics, and so on for the purpose of writing phonetic transcriptions. You need to check these videos, which I recommend to discussing international phonetic alphabets. And thank you so much. Do you have any questions? Let me know.